In Africa, elections give birth to death and violence. So the time is now for us to be courageous enough to ask ourselves, what systems of governance will immunize ourselves from this pain? For the moment, we have lemon, let us make ourselves lemonade.
When power lasts too long, it changes shape. And we all know that.
The Electoral Commission should be in the forefront of reminding all political players that good politics is a competition of ideas where people receive communication from those who are seeking political office and choose on the basis of the superiority of ideas. And any individual or group of individuals who perpetrate or encourage people to participate in violent activities should be barred from participating in the electoral process. It is only when there is firmness against perpetrators of violence that a clear message is sent to others that violence will be punished and will not be tolerated. The elections in Uganda are not unique and different from other elections in the continent of Africa. We have seen it in Kenya, in different countries. Violence appears to be part and parcel of our electoral processes, and electoral processes are tended by violence, by cutthroat competition, because the politicians see elective positions as positions of material aggrandizement. We must liberate the politicians from the belief that their role as politicians is to use any means necessary. We must redefine leadership. When we redefine leadership as positions of trust and responsibility, then the politicians will themselves be liberated from using violence. They'll make the political process one where their ideas are subjected to scrutiny and they are elected on the basis of those ideas. Until we do that, we will always have violence. Until we do that, we'll always have conflict. Until we do that, we will be poisoning the political chalice to the detriment of the society, to the detriment of this generation and generations yet to be born, and therefore to the detriment of our countries. Liberate yourselves from greed. Liberate yourselves from seeking power at all costs. Liberate yourselves from the spirit of seeking things that will not help the country. Liberate yourselves from seeking power for power's sake. Embrace trusteeship. Embrace citizenship. As the Greeks used to say, in any society there are tribalists and there are idiots and there are citizens. I'm asking all of us, not only in Uganda, in the continent of Africa, let us be citizens who do things that are in the best interest of our countries and that makes our countries great and makes Africans great and respectable throughout the world. It can be done and it must be done. There is little to elaborate. I know, for example, friends of mine who are clergy no longer allow politicians to speak in the church. When you come to church, you are congregant, you worship and leave. If you want to hold a political rally, you go and hold it somewhere else, not in church. Why is it that they do in church? They don't do it in the mosques. Why? It's because some, not all, of Christian leaders have been bought over by the political class. The time for liberation is now. Criminalize all forms of bribery. Whether the bribery takes the form of a bag of rice, whether it takes the form of cash, whether it takes the form of food which is offered, easier said than done. But it is being done in other countries. Why do we in Africa think that things must be easy? Nothing is easy. When you want good things, you must work for them. So let us not say that because it has been happening. For how long has it been happening? It has been happening for a very short time. So if you criminalize and punish people, part of the problem in Africa is impunity. People kill without consequence. People maim without consequence. People loot without consequence. The day we begin to punish people, that is the day people will begin to know that if you do the wrong thing, then you spend time in Luzira. We are wearing borrowed clothes. We inherited a system which was bequeathed to us by the colonizer. We are using the ways of the slave master to liberate the slave. It can never happen. We must redefine governance. The day we define governance, with the day we redefine governance and go into our systems and pick the positives out of there, that is the day we will begin to move in the right direction. And there are no instant coffee solutions. There are no microwave solutions. It may not happen in your lifetime, but let us begin. There is a saying in Kiswahili that when you want to travel on Friday, you start preparing on Thursday. That, I believe, is sufficiently indicative of what must happen. Electoral processes are processes. Remember, it is a process, not an event. It starts with voter registration. It continues with voter education. And the casting of the ballot is merely not the end of it, but what brings us to the end, which is the counting of it. We must have faith in the entire chain. And once we do that, people will begin to have trust. And it varies from country to country. Why is it that Germany, with a population of 82 million, counts votes in 8 hours, and African countries with voters that are not 12 million can't count? It takes them days. It is because we have no faith in ourselves. We have no faith in our systems. And when you have no faith in yourselves, you can't produce a result that is acceptable to the critical mass. Let's ask ourselves, what is leadership? Leadership is service. And women are not present in electoral leadership as they should be, not in the numbers that we would want, because we have made the process so violent, so toxic, that they don't want to participate. Women, when they attend rallies, have to wear jeans and trousers and running shoes, because you never know when a stone will be thrown. The day we make the environment one in which my mother, my sister, and my brother and other people can participate on an equal basis, and my wife, my daughter can come with high-heeled shoes in the knowledge that after sharing ideas, she'll walk comfortable. That is the day that we will have women, because it will be a contest of the minds, not a contest of who can hire more goons and who can throw stones better. That day must come. The leaders are critical. Whether it is the electoral process as bequeathed to us by Europe and America is a debate that Africa must now engage in. It would appear to me that in Africa, elections give birth to death and violence. So the time is now for us to be courageous enough to ask ourselves, what systems of governance will immunize ourselves from this pain? For the moment, we have lemon, let us make ourselves lemonade. Technology and machines are manipulated by man. They don't act of their own motion. And if men and women are dishonest, technology will produce dishonest results. So the first thing is to deal with values and virtues of the men and women behind the machines. Artificial intelligence is good for those who are honest. It is a good servant and a bad master. That is the nature of technology. It is like the knife. You can use it to cut meat and eat meat, and you can also use it to kill. Choose you now how you use the knife.
Every revolution begins with promises. Every long rule begins with a purpose. But somewhere along the road, something shifts. I'm talking about Yoweri Kaguta Museveni of Uganda. We are heading into election, and he has been here for too long. A lot of promises, a lot of purpose. But I don't know if the purpose is still there. Because at first, leadership is about service. And later it becomes about control, power. And eventually it becomes about survival. And this is not just unique to Uganda or unique to Africa. This is the universal disease of prolonged power. Okay? And the danger is not staying long. The danger is staying long while refusing to evolve. And that's what is happening in Uganda. They refuse, or the leadership of Uganda refused to evolve. Okay? They refuse to evolve. History shows us something. Leaders do not fall when they are weak. They fall when they are out of touch. Nothing new Museveni can bring. Nothing new Museveni can rise at. But he is still there, saying that he wants another 5 years. Another 5 years to fulfill his promises of 40 years. Okay? For a number of years, Uganda has been marked as stable. But stability without justice is not peace. You cannot say you are stable and yet police brutality is on the street. The youths fear just posting, just going live, just showing what is happening. So you are silencing the people of Uganda, saying that the country is stable. And silence does not mean satisfaction. Silence means often fear. Silence means fatigue. It means suppression. A country can be quiet and still be angry. A population can appear to celebrate, calm, celebrating you, and still being underneath. Okay? So, the video I have played for you from PLO Lumumba is a warning to Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. And a very good warning. Because when leaders mistake silence for approval, they begin governing ghosts instead of people. You're just governing ghosts. Okay? Now, here's the true many leaders don't want to appreciate or struggle to understand. Africa is no longer led by elders alone. Africa is now numerically owned by youth too. And in Uganda, the majority of the population is young. Young people who are educated, young people who are digitally connected, young people who are politically aware, young people who are no longer impressed by titles. And they are not the young of the 1980s or 1990s, but these are the global citizens in local bodies. Okay? So you can shut down the internet, you can shut down the rallies, you can shut down the streets, you can even shut down the internet, but you cannot shut down awareness. Okay? When governments begin to fear social media, it is not because of lies. It is because truth now moves faster than control. The internet has done something unpredictable in African history. It has removed gatekeepers. It has removed mediators. It has removed fear. It has removed isolation. A young Ugandan no longer feel alone in frustration. They now knows millions feel exactly the same. And when shared frustration meets organization, history begins to move. One of the most dangerous strategies in politics is to divide and rule. You divide the youths and rule. That's very dangerous. Because when citizens begin to question leadership, division is deployed. Tribe against tribe. Region against region. Youths against elders. Poor against poor. Why? Because a divided population never looks upward. They all look sideways. And while people fight each other, power sits comfortably above them. But here is the warning. Division works, yes, until it doesn't work anymore. And when it collapses with somebody. It collapses violently. Okay? No enemy needs to invade a divided nation. Division is an open enemy. It's an open invention. You are invading your own country. And when Africa fights Africans, resources live quietly. When Africa fights Africans, influence shifts silently. Sovereignty weakens gradually. So internal conflicts is the cheapest form of conquest. I love how PLO Lumumba has speak about this. Speak about everything, Africans divided destroy Africa and the entire benefit. You get me? There's a very dangerous myth in leadership. The control equals authority. That is the myth that is very, very dangerous. It does not, or let me say this, weapons can enforce compliance, but they cannot enforce loyalty. Arrest can silence voices, but they cannot silence beliefs. Fear cannot control bodies, but it cannot control minds. It only control bodies. And everything Uganda is doing by suppressing the youths, suppressing the voters. Remember one thing. A time is coming. You are not suppressing the mind of these people. They are still thinking. They are still talking to each other. What you are doing, you are killing the body, but the people who remain there, their minds, it's vocally, their minds is willing to bring change in any way. Every long-serving leaders begin as a symbol of hope. Uganda was a symbol, or Museveni was a symbol of hope. And that's why when you talk to a lot of leaders, they say, you don't know Uganda. If Museveni goes, nobody can lead us. If Museveni goes, we are doomed. That's the psychology that we need to remove. It's not about who is here. It's about our psychology. Because if all of us have the great mind, you don't need a leader who fought for independence to be there up to now. That means in Kenya, we could just be needing Moi to be here up to now. Okay? History is brutal in judgment. It remembers beginnings, but it defines leader by their endings. And a powerful legacy can be destroyed in its final chapters. And this is why warnings matter. And warnings are history, last courtesy before consequences. So Uganda is not isolated. Uganda, what happens in one African nations now choose across the continent, okay? Through media, through Pan-African consciousness, through youth movement. And that's why leadership choices today are no longer local decisions, they are continental decisions. So allow me to say this. Every long-serving leader eventually faces the same fork in the road. And this message is to you, Ugandan president. So Museveni must do some things, must reform voluntarily, open political space, respect dissent, transition with dignity, respect the opposition. That's what you need to do. Or you can suppress harder, you can choose system tighter, you can exit through chaos, and history shows us the option that you choose preserves nation, and the other option that you can choose destroys them. So that was a warning from PLO Lumumba to Yoweri Museveni. I hope we have had it right, and I hope it reaches the ears of Ugandans people. Tell me what you think on the comment section. Peace out.